All right. Well, it's 1 o'clock, so I think we're going to get started. Um, Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're going to do a 1 hour presentation on press releases, and I'm quite excited to share some information with everybody. But before we do the sharing, I would like to just do a little bit of housekeeping. Um, the session itself is being recorded, and you will be able to get an email of the session after the presentation. It'll be sent out to you. Please keep yourself on mute and submit any questions that you have in the chat. I would be happy to address those as they come up. That would be really awesome. Um, and The first thing that I'd like to do is just sort of give you an overview on what does the Maine Small Business Development Center do. We provide no-cost advising to current and aspiring Maine business owners. So really, we cover pretty much anything related to either running or starting up a small business. We do a lot of work as our clients are seeking financing from banks. We help them with their business plans and with their cash flow projections. Um, if people are thinking about purchasing a business, we help them through that process, or selling a business, we help them through that process as well. Um, and anything in between in terms of operations. So HR issues, sales and marketing issues, operations management issues, etc. The best thing about us, in addition to the fact that we have about 16 advisors in the state of Maine, is that our services are free. They're completely confidential, and you can use us as much as you want. And we love it when you come back to us year after year as new issues come up and that we can help you with. So please, if you are not a current client of the SBDC, but you think that you could make use of an advisor, we would love to work with you. Um, Getting into the subject for today, press releases are all about another way to access your potential customer base. And you can kind of think about it as advertising. And in the business, there are two types of advertising that people talk about. One is paid advertising, which you're probably familiar with. You buy an ad in a newspaper. You might buy ads on the local radio or on TV, newsletters and guidebooks, etc. Um, Everything from, in the state of Maine, in the tourist industry, you might have people approaching you about getting an ad on a map or in a guidebook, etc. But these are all things where you're paying some kind of a fee, and they're going to put your advertising in their publication. The other type of advertising is earned advertising. And earned advertising oftentimes is with the same outlets, but they tend to be newsworthy events about your business that are going to help those outlets engage, grow, and retain readers and viewers, because they always, every single day for a newspaper, they have to come up with content for that newspaper, or for a website, the same thing. uh, Advertisers are hungry for content, and they're hungry for newsworthy content that newspaper reporters or television reporters can go out and look for it, but oftentimes they are looking for these press releases and leads to come into them so that they can decide what it is that they want to include in their publication that will help them engage with their viewers. Now, there's a special kind of earned advertising. And when we say earned advertising, it means that you have done something to earn the publicity um, that you're going to get through these venues. Um, there's a special kind of advertising that I want to alert you to, and that is if you're an SBDC client, or if you are working with an advisor, let's say with Northern Maine Development Commission or with Coastal Enterprises, et cetera. Um, these entities also publish newsletters, and they love to publish success stories about their clients and their businesses. And those newsletters and that information goes out to a very wide audience. So you kind of get a freebie if you're working with the small business development centers in terms of getting earned advertising out there, getting your business's name out there in front of other small businesses and so forth. So just wanted to alert you to that fact that that's kind of another benefit for working with the small business development um, centers. So press releases are really the key to earned advertising. They're stories that you're going to submit to these different entities to stimulate buzz about your business. And you're not going to submit a press release about everything that's going on in your business. You're going to be selective about that. And what these different outlets are looking for are things that are truly newsworthy. So a new business opening, um, is newsworthy because you're going to be employing more people, you're providing a new service to the community. If you're providing something unique, it's even more newsworthy, and that'll catch people's attention. And again, this is all about generating content that you yourself would want to read in a newspaper. So things like expansions, job creations, if you're just innovating and you've come up with a brand new product that's nobody's ever thought of, that can be newsworthy. uh, C-suite changes, so that if you purchased a building, excuse me, if you purchased a business, or if you hired a new chief executive officer, chief financial officer, those are all things that typically newspapers and newsletters and other entities are interested in. Charitable activities is a really important one because most small businesses do a lot of charitable work. And when I talk with small business owners, many are reluctant to uh, talk about their charitable activities in like a news release because they feel like it's boasting, or they feel like that's, well, we should be doing this anyway. We shouldn't be looking for anything in return. But I would challenge your thinking about that from two standpoints. The first one is um, charitable activities that you're doing uh, as your business help to build your brand. They help people to understand what you and your business feel are important with respect to the community. The other thing is the charity that you are contributing to also benefits from this publicity, and it can stimulate other businesses, other people to want to give to the charity because they've read about it in the newspaper. They like your business. They heard that you're contributing something, you're doing something for that business. So maybe they should as well. So I would encourage you to think strategically about your charitable work. And whenever you're doing an event or you are donating a significant amount of material, merchandise, or anything to a charity, consider a press release. And sort of full disclosure, and I apologize that I didn't say this in my introduction, kind of got started a little quickly. Um, I My background is 35 years in sales and marketing in the software business, and in software where you're looking to generate interest from investors, you're trying to generate
Oh,
uh, more interest from other uh, software companies and so forth. We use press releases a lot related to new products, to expansions, to investments, and so forth. But the other side of my experience is that for the last 10 years, I've operated a small gelateria ice cream store in Surrey, Maine. And so, as a small business, I've used press releases to build my brand in down East Maine very quickly. So, I do a combination of advertising, but press releases are an integral part to what I do. Um, the things that you probably wouldn't do is if you just are giving away some gift cards, or if you just have a new product, but it's sort of in line with your existing products. If you're opening for the season, typically an entity won't pick something like that up and publish it just because that's not what they would consider to be newsworthy. So some of the benefits to your business of press releases, and I'm probably stating the obvious, but it's going to drive sales and customer traffic. If somebody reads about you and they're an existing customer, they're going to feel good about being an existing customer. It might stimulate them to come in and buy in your store sooner than they normally would. If your story is particularly engaging, other media outlets will pick it up. So I'll give you an example. My store happens to be called Pug Nuts Ice Cream. And so we've themed our store all around pugs. And the first 2 years that we had our store open, we uh, did a pug parade. So we invited people, if you have a pug, come on this particular date, bring your dog, and we'll have a little parade to the store and everybody will get ice cream. Well, that turned out to be a huge event for us because pugs are cute. They're dogs. They're visually very exciting. So I sent the press release out to local newspapers, local radio stations, local television stations, and we were very fortunate. We had 300 people show up with 100 pugs, and they were all dressed in costumes, and it was just a ridiculous thing that got so a lot of buzz on television, got us newspaper buzz, got us radio buzz, and so forth. So if you're thinking about doing something, an event, think about things that are on brand for you at the same time, things that might make people feel good, might make people intrigued, might make people interested in your brand and curious about your brand, but more importantly, something that a newspaper or a television station is going to want to do a story about. And then what will typically happen, as happened with our pug parade, we got a story on one local television station, and then the next night, another local television station came down, did basically the same story. The newspapers got in on the act and so forth. So things tend to become viral when people start picking up on a particularly nice event like this. The other thing that you get as a benefit to your business is that the minute you've got a link to a video about your business, or you've got an article written about your business in a magazine or in a newspaper, you've got instant credibility with customers that you're going to go pitch, but you've also got sort of um, a piece of collateral that you can do a link and send out to an email to all of the other people that you want to hear about your business. And since it's coming from a third party, and it's not so much about you talking about your stuff, but other people talking about how great you are, it just gives you a lot of credibility with your customer base. And those reusable links can persist. You can use them um, immediately, and they can become part of your store of collateral that you've got that you can use with your customers. And the other thing to think about is this really isn't a favor because news outlets need you, and they need you right now, particularly because there are fewer reporters and editors available to write stories. So they are looking for content, and you can provide that content to them. I included this photograph because it perfectly encapsulates what's going on right now with television. The first time at Pugnuts, my ice cream store, we had a media event. We had a reporter. The reporter had a driver and a cameraman traveling with them to create this story. The second time we did the thing, uh, everything had changed. The reporter came down by themselves. They set up a camera on a tripod. They filmed themselves. They did all of the filming, and then they sat in the shop. They did all of the editing, and then they uploaded it up to the station and moved on to the next story that they were doing. And it was striking to me how little time they have to script, to create the story, to edit the story, and move on. So if you think about a reporter having to do all of that work in addition to simply writing the story, creating and presenting the story, they need you. They need this content daily so that they've got things to put into the nightly news, into their magazine, into the newspaper. Um, Readers want local news. They want to know what's going on, and you can provide them with that information. And as I mentioned, if you've got entertainment value that you can build into your event, all the better. It will really work out well for you. So I have an example. One of our clients, Narrative Food, they're an SBDC client, and they have given us permission to talk about that and to also use a press release that they worked on to establish themselves in the state of Maine. And we're going to walk through the press release as well as the result that they got from that press release. So I'm going to use that as the example, and I'm going to walk everybody through what goes into creating a standard press release so that when you are sending a press release out, it's going to be in the expected format that the publication or the media entity is going to be looking for. Um, so this example, it's a new business that relocated to Maine from Los Angeles. They have switched up their business. They're promoting and selling locally made Maine products. So that was a very newsworthy thing and exciting that they're promoting Maine. They have plans to expand and hire. And as an added area of interest, they're a 501, they're a B corporation, which means that they're a social enterprise and a percentage of their sales go to charity. So they had lots of different elements to put into a press release about their coming to Maine that made them interesting to get picked up by local media. So what I'm going to do is walk you through, I'm going to show you what the press release looked like, and then we're going to break it down into the different elements that help this one to be successful. This is what the press release looked like, and we're going to be working with this particular um, we're going to be working with this as I walk you through all of the different elements. But let me just bear with me. I'm just going to read through this press release so that we can see some of the different elements here. So Narrative Food moves its headquarters from Los Angeles to Deer Isle, Maine. That's the headline, and that's the newsworthy piece of this. An award-winning certified B Corp, member of 1% of the planet, Narrative Food was founded in 2010 as a farm-to-table home delivery service, delivering thoughtfully curated boxes of locally grown food and recipes across Southern California for over a decade, notably quintupling its volume during the pandemic to serve the community as frontline workers. Now you'll notice that they put a hyperlink into the press release. They've put several hyperlinks that gives the recipient the opportunity to drill down deeper and to get more information. Post-pandemic, Narrative Food found their business model needed to change to be sustainable and decided to pivot into custom corporate giving, curating small batch, lovingly created foods into impactful gift baskets which give back. Primarily serving companies looking for stakeholder gifts that align with their company culture, Narrative Food now ships nationally. Their website also offers consumers a pantry and gift shop where each purchase gives back to nonprofits. So they've selected their wording to be very specific, not only to prior to success, but where the business is going. So now here's the piece of news. In February, founder Jennifer Piet made the bold decision to relocate the business to Deer Isle, Maine, where she and her partner bought a farmhouse they are currently restoring and using the 200-year-old post and bean barn as its new headquarters. This was included to try to get um, both television as well as newspapers interested in maybe coming down to their place to look at it. A 200-year-old post and beam barn. They've moved from Los Angeles. It's a new headquarters. It's in Deer Isle. There's some visual cues here that might make this a very interesting story for somebody to pick up and do something with. So now the other part of the news is, how is it relevant to Maine? So Narrative Foods is delighted to be onboarding an amazing selection of Maine small batch makers and growers, spotlighting them in their 2023 custom gift guide. Another hyperlink so that the reporter can verify that they're doing exactly what they said that they're doing. And now, very important in a press release, you want to have quotes. You need to have quotes both from the founders as well as from customers if you can get them. So, quote, we love telling the stories of our makers and growers with thoughtfully produced collateral included in each gift box. Now, that helps the reporter understand that the person who's sending this press release out can articulate their business in a fashion. It sort of sets a vision in their mind in terms of how is this person talking about their business? How can we capture that? With an emphasis on organic and regenerative organic products, women-owned businesses, impact-driven makers, and small batch craftsmanship, the inserts in narrative food gift boxes tell the story of what makes each item of or maker special, appealing to companies whose culture is impact-driven. In terms of Narrative Foods' own impact, they have recently produced their first impact report covering their change of activity in 2022. So it summarizes that um, they are focusing on things that are important, particularly in Maine, where we're trying to nurture small businesses and help grow the overall business community. Now, further detail in Deer Isle, Narrative Food is proud to partner with Healthy Island Project, delivering pantry items to the weekly farm drop pickup and giving back 20% of sales to Healthy Island Project. So what Jennifer, the owner of Narrative Food, wanted to emphasize in this paragraph was the fact that they are a social enterprise. They're all about donating money that they earn back to help the community. So they have World Center Kitchen is a big recipient of their funding. We the Change, and this is a big part of their branding, very important to them. So then a conclusion, again with a quote, Narrative Food is so excited for this new Maine chapter and making connections with the abundant and amazing makers and growers of their new community. Founder Jennifer Piet. Now, Jennifer wrote this, but of course, she's writing it as if she's the third person because she's writing this for the newspaper. Sums it up. I'm always on the lookout for mindfully crafted small batch foods. Love to curate them into beautiful gift boxes. Our mission is to support small scale makers and increase our impact by giving back to nonprofits who are also working to change the world. And then at the end, for more information and her contact information. Now, the thing about quotes is that a reporter could call you up and do some follow up on this and ask you for a quote, or they could just use this thing as is. And what happened with this particular press release is it went into several different venues, newspapers and magazines, almost verbatim, slight changes, but pretty much verbatim. So if you think about an article that you would like to have written about your business, write it yourself, put it in a press release. The um, you 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 have to be concise and you have to make sure that every word is going to count. But um, you could visualize that what you've written is an article for a reporter who might take it just carte blanche and stick it right in, or they might say, this is interesting. I'm going to see if I can make a story out of it. So the second thing that you can do when you're releasing a press release is most sites that are accepting articles and press releases will love it if you include photos. So in this case, Jennifer included a couple of photos with her initial press release. Here was the result was all of the local newspapers in our area picked this up. This is basically everybody that she sent the press release to put it into their publications. And she got a lovely 2-minute story on local TV, which I've got a link here, but it won't play the way my Zoom is configured. But when you get the copy of this, I encourage you to pop this link and go listen to this very nice 2-minute love letter that she got at WABI TV. And they actually sent a team down and they did some photographs and some video of her barn and her whole enterprise down there. So it was a lovely um, piece, and it provided her with a piece of collateral that she can send the link to WABI TV, and they keep this and it persists on their platform. So the process of writing a press release is pretty simple. If you look at that example, you think about it as a newspaper story. You really pay attention to how concisely you can do it. So you really need to wordsmith it just the same way as back in high school when they were talking about who, what, when, where, and why. Make sure you've got all of those elements into it. Make sure you've got a headline that encapsulates what you're trying to convey. Make sure that you've got a contact for more information in there. uh, Sort of start uh, big, focus on the big picture, and then sort of the inverted triangle strategy, get into the details the further you go down so that you can catch their attention and then support your story. And then really think about, okay, what am I trying to get this press release to do for me? Do I want it to generate buzz because I'm building my brand? Do I want it to generate, people coming into my shop? um, what exactly is it that you're looking to do? Or am I trying to attract investors? I have a client right now where we are working on press releases and an event that will get them in front of potential angel investors. And to do that, you need credibility, you need presence, you need to get buzz. So you can have many, many different objectives for how you want to use your press release. Um, let's see, did I skip one? Nope. Okay, so another thing, as I mentioned, create quotes. Think about what you'd want a customer to say about your company and create a quote that says, I was really excited to go to Pugnuts because they always have lots of new flavors of ice cream and it's a really friendly and wacky environment. And then you think about who you might want to have for a customer who would say such a thing. Reach out to them and say, I'd really like to do a press release and quote you saying something like this. What do you think? And they might say, sure, that sounds great. Or they might want to say, well, I want to say it a little bit differently. But make sure you get permission and input from them. But it's a very easy thing to do. It's much easier than saying to somebody, I want to do a press release. What would you say about my company? Give them some direction. It's a lot easier if you're quoting yourself, of course, because then you know what you want to say. Write your sentences short, simple. Uh, Make sure that you take out all extraneous wording, and then really take a step back and say, if I were flipping through the newspaper and I saw this on the third page, would the headline engage me? Uh, and would I read this article? And if I read this article, is it something that would excite me? Would it generate the reaction that I'm looking for? So keep it brief, but keep it detailed. So now I'm going to sort of walk you through Jennifer's press release to sort of give you a few hints about construction, because there's a very specific way press releases are formatted and expected. And if you could send a news tip to a newspaper and just write an email, and it might get their attention. But if you send it out looking like this, then it's going to get much better attention. I did have a question. Will you be emailing a press release template to us? And I think that my suggestion would be this will be in the presentation that you're going to get, because Jennifer likes to get free press, and this is another opportunity for her. And this is the format. This is the template kind of that you would be using. So hopefully that will fit that need. So first thing is, the accepted format for beginning and ending a press release is you put asterisks and then say for immediate release, and follow that with asterisks. And then at the bottom, you put 3 crosshatches at the bottom. And that helps to make very clear that this is the beginning and this is the end of your press release. So if you do that, somebody's going to say, oh, they're a player. They know what they're doing. I'm going to take a deeper dive and take a look at this. The second thing is, you need to include all of your contact information, who to contact. This is the name and the address, phone number, direct phone line for a contact is a great thing, the website. And then if you have any social media locations, lay them out right there so that it's very easy and convenient for someone to access more information about you. This all goes right in the top, just like this. Then you're going to have a headline. getting ahead of myself. Sorry, stop it. You're going to have a headline and tell the reader why this is important. In this case, as we saw, Jennifer had a lot to convey as charitable, uh, a B corporation, charitable orientation, local makers, and so forth. But the newsworthy thing that would be the attention grabbing thing is the fact that they've moved their headquarters from Los Angeles to Deer Isle. Then use quotes. And as I said, don't be shy about quoting yourself. If you can get a local personality, all the better. But include at least two quotes in your press release that gives them something to liven up the text. There's nothing more ho-hum than just reading a whole bunch of narrative without seeing some kind of a quote, somebody speaking. So as I said, invent your quotes to say exactly what you want them to say. And then if it's a third person quote, write what you want them to say and see if they will approve your doing it. And usually you're not going to quote anybody who hates you. You're usually going to have a very good experience with that. People like having the words put into their mouths and making them sound smart. So don't be shy about that. And then end the press release again with, for more information, contact. Even though the information is here, just repeat it at the bottom of the press release, and that's going to um, sort of tie things off. And then just don't forget your crosshatches at the end, and you're good to go. I'm looking at the chat, no questions. If anybody has any questions or comments, please put them in the chat and I will address them as we go. So now that the press release is written, you're ready to publish. So how do you go about publishing, and how do you go about finding, who's going to accept these press releases? And typically everything is done. I mean, gosh, back in the day, we used to send out press releases by fax and by snail mail. But of course, now everybody's got a website where you can upload a press release. It's just a question of how they want to receive this information. So oftentimes there'll be an upload site, and that's where you would take your press release just as written. You would copy the entire thing, and then you just paste it into the upload site. I'm going to show you a couple examples in a minute. But if it's like the New York Times or um, let's say the Philadelphia Inquirer or some other very large publications, they don't typically have an upload spot for uploading news tips because they'd just be swamped with them. So what you need to do with a large newspaper is you need to um, Google articles from that newspaper and look for reporters who are reporting on either the industry that you're in or on companies that are similar to yours or on issues that are important to your company. Identify that reporter, and usually you can suss out what their email address would be and just send them an email. You're going to send them an email with a cover. I think you would be interested in this because I follow you. This is similar to some of the other articles you have written, and I think you might be interested in what's going on with my company, and attach the press release to it. That can be very, very powerful. Not a lot of people who do press releases bother to do that level of research. The other thing that is out there are services that will distribute your press release for you. So if you uh, look for online, look for press release services, you will find that for a fee, a number of sites will take your press release and then distribute it. But the challenge with that is you don't have much control other than you pay them your money, they put it out into the ether, and you sort of see who's going to pick it up. So that's kind of your decision about whether or not you want to use a service. I've found that for local businesses, that's just overkill. There's really no need to do that. You kind of know who your target publications are, and you can go with them. But when all else fails, call the switchboard for the publication and just ask, where do I send a press release? And they will tell you. Like I said, they're hungry for news, they're hungry for content, they're going to do everything they can to encourage you to submit. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples of different places where you can upload a press release and how you go about doing it. So see how they accept it. And gosh, I just copied and pasted the same slide. I just noticed that was a little repetitive, wasn't it? Sorry about that. So here's Bangor Daily News has a section called Contact Us. So in their menu over here, you click on that and it'll come up Contact Us. And then under Contact Us, there's Newsroom. And it'll say you can contact by calling a number or by emailing, or if you want to submit a news tip, you can do so here. So this is all you got to do. You type in your name, your email, subject of your news tip, which would be the headline from your press release. Then you're going to cut and paste your entire press release right into this box. Do the capture, 3 times 4 equals 12, good Lord, and then hit submit, and you're done. And you can contact the newsroom and follow up on your press release if you want to, but typically this is what they're looking for. They're looking for this content to come in this way. Another example, Portland Press Herald, they really have made it easy for somebody to submit a press release. They say business items should be sent to business@pressherald.com, features and sports, etc. And then there's a news tips, or you can call this number. So you just need to go to the website for each entity that you're looking for and see how they like to get their information. Now, same thing for television stations. So WABI TV, under Contact Us, this pops up, submit a story. You put your name, email, phone number, story title, story text, and then here you can add image files. And so you can add several image files. And that's what Jennifer did with her press release. And they said, oh, she's photogenic. She's got interesting stuff. Why don't we send a crew down there to do a story? And that's all it took. And then don't forget local radio. Local radio is a place where so much business gets done, and people are constantly writing off radio, but pretty much when people are in their cars, they're listening to radio. And I can't tell you how many times I've had customers come into Pugnuts saying, gee, I just heard your ad, or I heard a story about you on the radio, and I was driving by and it reminded me I'm going to stop and get an ice cream cone. So don't discount radio. So I'm going to conclude. So we're only 40 minutes into this presentation, but it's not a terribly complex subject once you've figured out how to do the formatting. But it's really important to maximize your usage of your press release because it's easy to go viral. So as I mentioned, for our Pug Parade at Pugnuts, we had one TV station, then we had another TV station, and then the next year when we did it, they were all there. And newspapers watch what TV does, TV watches what newspaper does. And then don't forget to cross post. So publish links to these stories on Facebook, Instagram, any place you've got it. Make sure that your website, typically if you embed a link, let's say to a WABI video onto your website, it'll come up with the beginning of that video right there. And then oftentimes, as was the case with me, I just requested from the reporter, would you send me your video file once you've completed it so I can put it on my website. So, and they're very interested in doing that because that gets their name out there, that gets their television station in front of your customers, and it might bring new viewers to them. So it's very much a mutually beneficial process when you're doing press releases and you're doing publicity with these local news outlets. So that is the end of the formal part of the presentation, and I would be happy to entertain any questions if anyone has any. Go ahead and take yourselves off mute if you like, or stick something in the chat. I got a nice comment from Sarah Daigle. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Anybody else have any questions? So as I mentioned, SBDC publishes our webinars on our website. We also will send this content out to you since you were kind enough to spend some time with us today. Um, let's see. Kelsey wants to know, what are your favorite outlets to submit press to other than the ones you covered here? Any other secrets? So yeah, I go to for my ice cream store, I go to all of my local markets. So that's the Penobscot Press, and it's Mount Desert Islander, and it is Ellsworth American, and then I go to Bangor Daily News and so forth. So I kind of do about a 50-mile radius around my business. Um, and the only other secrets that I've got is don't uh, don't be shy about this. They're eager to hear from you. So don't feel like you're asking for a favor. You're doing them a favor by providing them with awesome content. So don't be shy. Pick up the phone. Reporters like to talk to people. That's what their job is. Um, and this earned advertising is so much more powerful than the stuff that you pay for because it just gives you tremendous credibility. People like to uh, um, people like to engage with companies that they know have some credibility because media outlets are engaging with them as well. Any other questions in the chat? All right. Well, I thank you all for joining us. Like I said, it's a kind of a short 40-minute session, but you've got uh, 20 minutes back to go do some other things. So thank you for joining. We will be sending out a copy of this and appreciate your participation today. Thank you.